Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality in a way that is extremely empowering. Speaking of exploring powerful perspectives, I'm super excited to announce the release of my very first book, The Golden Key: Modern Alchemy to Unlock Infinite Abundance. If you're ready to alchemize the circumstances in your life so that your abundance expands to an entirely new level in 2021, head over to goldenkey.gift to download the audio or ebook as my gift to you by using the code POSITIVEHEAD. All right, all you positive heads, welcome back to another episode of the Positive Head Podcast. So happy to be here with you all. As always, we are going to explore the great mysteries of 3D reality, do a little temperature check on where we are, what we are, who we want to be next. Since we are born anew in this moment, it's a beautiful thing to be able to say, what do I do next? Who am I next? We're under no obligation to be who we were a moment ago, yesterday, an hour ago. And that's a lovely thing. So many times we carry around all these stories of who and what we are, and then they hold us down like chains. They weigh us down like weights. And you are changing quickly. The world is changing quickly. There's a lot of turmoil in the world, and that's such a indicator from my optimistic perspective that things are coming to the surface that need to be healed. That's how it goes, right? Before it can be fully released, it needs to be healed. And we may have some healing yet to go, but let's keep the right perspective on it, not only with our personal journey, but our collective journey. And before I kind of dig in today to the different topics I would like to cover, one in particular, winning, the idea of winning. I instantly got a visual of Charlie Sheen in my head when I said that. You probably did too. Before I do that, I would like to take a moment and read a review. And let's see here. This review came in on iTunes by Davis 9 + 84 + 6514 + 651. I'm assuming there's some significance to that number if you add it up. I don't know what it is. I actually did add it up and I didn't catch any major significance, but maybe I wasn't studying hard enough. Good job riddling me out there, Davis. The title of it is Thank You. And it says, first off, I wanted to congratulate you on ascending the heights of the great teachers. Bruce Lipton, Wayne Dyer, Esther Hicks. Your name, Brandon Beecham, has become a household name when it comes to spiritual teachers, at least in my home. Not only is this the first podcast I've ever listened to, but also the first step in my new spiritual journey. All thanks to you. I've since started listening to other podcasts, but this is still my favorite. Every day I come to the Positive Head Podcast for a dose of positivity. You'll never fully see how far your positive impact truly reaches, but do not doubt yourself. I'm sure 5 days a week of the podcast is a heavy load to bear, but do not doubt yourself. You're changing the world one podcast at a time. I have to say thank you for understanding. I've listened to hundreds of episodes, been listening for months, almost a year now, but I'm only now finding the courage to review. I was afraid I wouldn't say enough to show you how much I truly appreciate everything you do to spread positivity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. By far my favorite podcast. Never stop doing the light work, Brandon. With love, Davis. Oh, thank you, Davis. That is a wonderful review. Obviously, it's such a great review because of course, it's in line with sort of what I want to talk about today, winning. And you compared me to these incredible teachers, which I'm humbled and honored that you did so. But I think of one of them, Wayne Dyer, who talked about winning. He talked about, who was the most spiritually influential list had come out. And he was like number 2 on it or something. And instantly his ego reacted and like, what do you mean number 2? And it's so easy to be caught up in this competitive sort of, who's the best of the best. And, although I'm extremely humbled and extremely appreciative, and I know it's completely sincere from where you're coming from, and I have no doubt that I will continue to reach, a larger audience. I feel that in my heart and my soul, and I've felt it for a long time. Bringing humility and, being compared to anyone great, yeah, I should accept that, but also keep a close check on that sort of thing, right? We know what happens when ego gets out of control. And I'm actually inspired by someone who I would, for today's episode to talk about, who I would say maybe their ego is a little imbalanced, if you will. And so, thank you for that. And for any of you who haven't reviewed on iTunes, please do so. It helps us to reach new people and certainly fuels my fire to continue this labor of love. To just kind of roll right into what I wanted to talk about today. And obviously, what I love about this show is how often the episodes write themselves. Yesterday we decided we were going to talk about rejection. I got a negative review. There's just all these things that kind of fell together perfectly. Sonia Sophia was a lovely guest on the show and talked about how she overcame rejection. I came up with the idea of covering rejection, and then she said, "Oh, how perfect. I'm about to go get married, and it's only happening because I overcame rejection." Well, today, my son sent me a funny clip of Jimmy Fallon and Donald Trump talking, and it was, spliced together and made to be comical. And but one of the things that really jumped out at me was something that Donald Trump said in it. And he said, something, he went on and on about how my whole life is about winning. If I don't win, then this whole race is, and this is when he was running for the presidential race, I believe, the quote, if I don't win, then this whole thing is a waste of energy and time. And so that really jumped out at me. And then, I kind of thought about that for a moment, and certainly having a competitive spirit myself, certainly even more so when I was younger, and in my family, and, a lot of competitive energy between my dad and my uncle, and me and my brother, I definitely can relate to being competitive and trying to win and thinking that is important at times in my life. And so, this jumped out at me. This Donald Trump thing. Then I started looking, okay, what am I going to talk about? I hadn't quite decided yet. And then I'd noticed I'd saved a quote yesterday. First thing I pulled up, and it was all about winning. So I said, here's the topic for today. So obviously what should be talked about. And let's analyze it a little bit. Donald Trump, my whole life is about winning, he said. That's just taking a part of the quote that he said. And he went on and on. Before we continue on with today's episode, I'd like to take a moment to tell you a little bit about my very first book, The Golden Key: Modern Alchemy to Unlock Infinite Abundance. The concept for the book initially came to me in a dream and has been followed by a next level amount of synchronicity, confirming for me that the information in the book is pertinent to get to the world at this moment in our collective evolution. In the book, I share the 8 keys to manifesting abundance that I've personally discovered over 25 years of trial, error, and deep exploration, including one golden key that ultimately ties them all together. I think most of you will agree with me that talk is a bit cheap, especially these days, and results speak the loudest of all. Well, these keys have led me to manifesting incredible results, such as an Inc. fastest growing private company, uncanny health, incredible relationships, and success with this podcast. However, I'm not any more special than you, and anyone can apply this information to achieve incredible results in their own life. I also believe waking up our planet by sharing these keys to abundance is the quickest way to help us to transition our home into the planet of paradise it is destined to become, which is why I'd like to gift the book to you at goldenkey.gift when you use the golden key code POSITIVEHEAD.
I would also like to invite you to create your own unique golden key code so you in turn can gift the book to others, as well as invite you to participate in a unique abundance manifestation game with me and the other readers that is outlined in detail at the end of the book and on the website, where readers are also going to share the inspiring results of their abundance manifestation experiments. Lastly, I'm going to practice what I preach by sharing 50% of the abundance generated from the golden game and sale of the other golden goodies on the website with you and all the other readers. So if you're ready to alchemize the circumstances in your life so that your abundance expands to an entirely new level, head over to goldenkey.gift to download the audio or ebook as my gift to you by using the code POSITIVEHEAD. Also, if you end up loving and appreciating your gifted copy of the book, please take a moment to go to Amazon and give it a review, which will greatly help me reach and unlock more hearts with the golden key.
The great football coach Vince Lombardi said, whizzing isn't everything. Winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. And that's a very, famous quote, well-known quote. A lot of people have sort of ran with that one. And I want to just analyze this a little closer. Is winning everything? How important is winning? As I mentioned, in my younger years, winning was very much everything. I was so bent on beating whoever I was competing against. As I've grown, as I've advanced, evolved, as a person, it has certainly changed that perspective. What is it doing if we've got to win? If we think winning is the how we sort of define ourselves, and if we lose, what are we worth? Well, that's the problem, right? There's always someone better. You can't win every time. You're not going to win in all interactions you ever have, right? So what happens if you don't win? If that's how you define yourself, it's the only thing, and you don't win, right? By some metric. And by the way, that's part of the problem is we're gauging it from some limited view, right? What's really going on? Do you win if you lose the game, but you grow as a person? Right? And so we've got to dig in deeper to this. Nelson Mandela said, "I never lose. I either win or learn." The quote that kind of instigated this that someone posted in the Positive Heads Facebook group was, "The purpose in life is not to win. The purpose in life is to grow and to share." When you come to look back on all that you have done in life, you'll get more satisfaction from the pleasure you have brought into other people's lives than you will from the times that you outdid and defeated them. Right? So that's by Rabbi Harold Kushner, and what a powerful truth. Isn't it beautiful to know that you can actually the truest form of success, right, is by bringing joy into other people's lives. When you come back, I have no doubt when we all, this life is through and we do our life review and we're beyond the veil, back in non-physical, we'll look back at our life and we will not be sitting there saying, wow, how many times did I win the game or beat someone? Rather we'll be saying, okay, let's see. How often did I get the true test, the true win by giving of self, right? You get more and you can see it in yourself. Think about how good it feels to give to others. I say that all the time, right? You get more satisfaction from the pleasure you brought into other people's lives than you will from ever outdoing them or defeating them. Right? Think of when you get into an argument, which I've done many times, where it's like, oh, I've got to win this argument. I've got to win. I've got to show them that I know more than they do. And let me beat you into submission verbally. Right? I definitely done my share of that. And then it's a hollow victory afterwards. You feel kind of like, oh, it just doesn't feel good. Right? So if we can refocus ourselves and see, think about it in your own life today with your children, with your spouse, with your boyfriend, girlfriend, so your fellow coworkers, whatever it is. How do you have anyone out there that you have that relationship with where it's all about one-upmanship and how I can beat you? What if instead of that, you refocus and just do it as an experiment? Do it as a fun experiment. It's like, oh, how can I find a way to give to you and to remove this competitive energy that we've created between ourselves. Because that's what happens, right? It's like anything. You feed it. I feed some competitive. I think of me and my brother as kids, right? 2 years apart. He's 2 years younger. Poor guy. He deserves a medal because I was brutal. And we've always been very close. But, being 2 years older and just not fully developed when it comes to understanding these things we're talking about today. Competitive. How do I win? How do I make my false self, my ego, feel better by winning? And when I reflect back, it's like, man, those victories really don't feel that good. And especially the more sensitive you get when you have to do it at someone else's expense. It's not a wonderful feeling, So if you have any type of competitive energy that you've built up over a lifetime or the years you've worked together or since you've been married or whatever it may be, I challenge you to take a look at it, to acknowledge it, to see where it came from. Maybe this false sense of, the necessity to win that has been sort of given to you, right? From the time of your birth, it's everywhere in our society, right? It's something that is instilled in us from such a young age. You've got to be the best or else you're nothing, right? Well, that's not true. It's just wrong. You either win or you learn, right? And if you win with grace, show class, have pride, display character. If you do that, winning takes care of itself, Paul Bryant said. Strength does not come from winning. Your struggle develops your strength. When you go through hardships and decide not to surrender, that is strength. That was a Gandhi quote. So let's change our perspective on this and understand the ultimate. You win when you give your best effort, when you persistence, if it's up against something that you do want to, that's a healthy win, right? You want to overcome something. You want to get through something. So I don't want to label it as like winning is bad either. Right. So, but let's keep it in a healthy perspective. What's the underlying energy of the whole situation? That's what you always have to come back to. And, I watched the movie recently, The Founder. It's all about Ray Kroc, the guy who, didn't really found McDonald's, but claimed to, and definitely caught up in this winning thing. And, he reminded me so much of an ex-business partner of myself who would very much be that character. How do I screw people and take all the credit and lie and deceive and whatever I have to do to win, right? And, even though this guy was obviously someone who's still growing and still learning, he made a good point about persevering. One of the quotes that is in the movie, he said, "Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful individuals with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent." And I agree. As someone who's been very, very persistent, never quitting. That's the win, right? When you give your best effort and you keep on getting up, and the Chinese proverb, fall down 8 times, get up 9. And that is the ultimate win. When you give of yourself, that is the ultimate win. So even though, this guy, had it wrong on a lot of his moral, ethical sort of standards and perspective, he did understand one thing, persistence. I'm going to keep believing in myself, right? He kept doing that. And of course, the law of attraction, like we talk about all the time on the show, it is neutral. It doesn't care whether you're a good guy, a bad guy, evil, positive. It is a law. It is a law of nature. And so this person kept being persistent. He was in his 50s, who, going around trying to sell milkshake mixers, not a raging success by any means. And then he turned into the guy who sort of brought McDonald's to the world. There was the one place in San Bernardino, California, and he sort of had the vision to get that, to where I think it's been the most successful restaurant in the history of restaurants, probably, although it is on the decline now with a lot of the trend towards healthier food, but that's a whole nother story. But so I want to take some of this idea from someone like him. Like I said, even though he have been ethically challenged, he understood that persistence, that is a positive thing. right? Giving your best effort. That is a win. And if you can do those things and you can tie all this together, you can show class, have pride, display character, embody persistence. Winning is when the ultimate win in satisfaction comes from bringing joy into other people's lives, not outdoing them and defeating them. And if we can inject that into this competitive society we live in, competitive household you probably live in, competitive workplace you live in, you will rise above. And as Paul Bryant said, the winning then takes care of itself. It becomes a byproduct of being, of really having a holistic view. And as everything with the things we talk about on the show, if you can understand what's good for the other person that you're competing about is good for you because it is an extension of self. There's only one of you in the room, right? When you can bring that in, now how do we approach this whole competitive thing? My whole thing is, how can I lift you up? How can I make you feel better? And man, you start doing that in any way, shape, or form. That's why I'm doing this show 5 days a week. It's addicting to help people and to help myself, and to, it feels so good. It's the best kind of, it's the best kind of win I could ever hope for, giving. Well, that being said, I've got to go give elsewhere for today, and I know you do too. So luckily, though, there is more imaginary time where this came from. So I'll be back. You'll be back, I hope. And with that being said, I do have a song to leave you guys with. This is Portugal the Man, Feel It Still, Medicine Remix. Hope you enjoy. Love you all.
Also, quickly, before we cue up today's song, I wanted to remind you to download the Golden Key, audio or ebook, as my free gift to you at goldenkey.gift using the code POSITIVEHEAD. I also wanted to remind you that I will now be doing a live Q&A every Thursday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time on the new social audio app Clubhouse. I have really been wanting to connect and interact with all of you more for quite some time, and I'm super excited to now have 2 new ways to do it. First, if you're already on Clubhouse, be sure to follow me and click the little bell on my profile and select to always be notified when I go live on the Clubhouse app. And if you'd like to connect on an even more intimate Zoom gathering once a month, now you can do that too by registering at goldenkey.gift.
Could keep my hands on myself. Think I'll dust them off, put them back up on the shelf. Kiss my little baby girl as a need. Got another mouth to feed. Leaving with the babies and a mama called a grave digger. Gone with the falling leaves. Am I coming out of left field? Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. I've been feeling it since 1966 now. Might be over now, but I feel it still. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. Let me kick it like it's 1986 now. Might be over now, but I feel it still. Might have had your fill, I can feel it still. We could fight a war for peace. Give in to that easy living, goodbye to my hopes and dreams. Stop flipping for my enemies. We could wait until the walls come down. It's time to give a little to the kids in the middle, but oh, until it falls, won't bother me. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks. Yeah, your lover's an abyss for my heart to eclipse now. Might be over now, but I feel it still. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. I've been feeling it since 1966 now. Might be over now, I can feel it still. Might have had your fill, I could feel it still.